Have you ever stopped to think about what our world would be like if we had no ambition, no drive, no nagging feeling that tomorrow could be better than today? It's a weird thought, right? Well, today we're going to talk about the one tiny molecule that's responsible for all of that. It's the secret to our species' incredible success and, it turns out, the source of some of our biggest problems.
Okay, let's just dive right into the central mystery of us. How did we end up running this planet? Seriously, we're not the strongest, we're definitely not the fastest, and our senses are kind of meh compared to a lot of animals out there. So what's our secret? How did we end up in charge?
I mean, when you really stack us up against the competition, it almost seems like a joke. You've got elephants with their raw power, dolphins with their incredible agility and built-in sonar. By all the physical stats, they should be the ones on top. And yet, here we are. A species that used to travel at the speed of a horse is now sending probes to other planets. Something else is clearly going on here.
Well, it turns out the answer isn't in our muscles. It's in our brain chemistry. About 100,000 years ago, a pretty small group of our ancestors made this incredibly risky choice to migrate out of Africa. And here's the wild part. Research shows that the descendants of those explorers, of those migrants, have a higher rate of genes linked to one specific molecule. It's the molecule that gave them the guts to explore the unknown. And in doing so, it literally saved all of humanity.
So yeah, it is time to meet the hero and, as you'll see, the potential villain of our story. This is the chemical that explains why we explore, why we invent, and why we are just never, ever satisfied.
Say hello to dopamine. It was discovered back in 1957, and it's a neurotransmitter that's produced by this absurdly tiny fraction of your brain cells. We're talking less than 0.0005%. It's practically nothing. And yet, this one little chemical is pretty much responsible for our entire civilization, for all of our greatest achievements, and our most dangerous impulses.
So how can this one chemical have so much power? Well, to really get dopamine, you have to understand that your brain basically sees the world in two totally different ways. It's locked in this constant battle between what you have right now and what you could have in the future.
The easiest way to think about it is like a car. You've got a set of chemicals that act like the brakes, letting you slow down, park, and just enjoy the view. And then you have one chemical that is just pure gas pedal, always pushing you forward, always looking for the next destination.
So the brakes, scientists call these the here and now chemicals. You've probably heard of them, things like oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. They're the chemicals that let you enjoy what's right in front of you. That first sip of coffee, a hug from someone you love, that's them. They are the source of contentment, of satisfaction, of just being present.
And then you've got the gas pedal, dopamine. This is the chemical of more. It could not care less about the coffee you're holding. It's already thinking about a better coffee you could get tomorrow. It's the engine of ambition. It's what drives you to want and plan and strive for all the things that are just out of reach.
So you see the conflict, right? It's this constant tug-of-war happening inside your brain. The here and now system wants you to be happy with today, but the dopamine system, it wants you to sacrifice today for a better tomorrow. And that tension, that's pretty much the human experience in a nutshell. Now you might be thinking, hey, don't other animals have dopamine? And you're right, they do. But here's what makes us special. We have two interconnected dopamine circuits. The first is the primal one, the desire circuit. It's like that little kid inside you yelling, I want that! But then that dopamine signal travels to our advanced frontal cortex and fires up a second system, the control circuit. This is the part that lets us plan and strategize and figure out how to get the thing we want. It's the difference between seeing a toy and just wanting it versus saving up your allowance for 3 weeks to go buy it. But this is where our story takes a pretty dark turn, because that same system that pushed us to build civilizations can also be the thing that tears us apart, starting from the inside out.
Think about it. This relentless drive for more is what saved us from extinction. But what happens when that engine just has nowhere left to go? What happens when you actually get everything you ever wanted? Well, you get this strange paradox of ultimate achievement. Just look at Buzz Aldrin. The man walked on the moon. It's arguably the peak of human accomplishment. But his life after that was a brutal struggle with depression and alcoholism. He once said the real challenge wasn't the journey to the moon, but learning to be happy back on Earth. Or look at Lionel Messi after he finally won the World Cup. He talked about this sense of emptiness, of what's next? The dopamine engine that drove them their whole lives had reached the final destination, and all of a sudden the gas pedal was useless. And this crash, It gets taken to its absolute extreme with addiction. Drugs literally hijack the dopamine system. They flood the brain with so much of it that the circuits just get completely overwhelmed. The brain starts to rewire itself, linking everything, people, places, sounds, to getting that drug. And eventually our logical control circuit, the planner, it just collapses. And all that's left is that screaming, primal desire circuit in the driver's seat.
So if getting the thing we want doesn't actually bring the lasting buzz, then what does? Well, the secret is that we've had a fundamental misunderstanding of what dopamine really does all along.
Okay, here is the big reveal. This is the most important thing to understand. Dopamine is not the pleasure molecule. It's the anticipation molecule. It doesn't fire when you get the prize. It fires when you think you're about to get the prize. The wanting is always, always more powerful than the having.
There was this brilliant experiment that proved this. Scientists taught a monkey that whenever a light flashed, a little drop of juice was coming. And when they measured its brain, they saw a huge dopamine spike when the light flashed. But then, when the juice actually arrived, nothing. Zero spike. The thrill was all in the waiting. But then they got clever. After the light flashed, they gave the monkey more juice than it was expecting. And what happened? An even bigger dopamine spike.
This whole mechanism is called reward prediction error. Basically, dopamine only cares about one thing: surprise. It spikes when reality turns out to be better than you expected. The second a reward becomes predictable, poof, the dopamine hit is gone. It's exactly why that first bite of dessert always tastes the best.
So if our brains are hardwired for the chase and then get bored with the prize, how are we supposed to build anything that lasts? How do we find happiness in a world that, a lot of the time, isn't all that surprising?
Let's just look at love, because it's a perfect real-world example. That initial phase of a relationship, the passion, the obsession, the can't eat, can't sleep phase, that's a pure dopamine rush. It's all about novelty, possibility, anticipation, but as researchers have shown, that phase naturally only lasts about 12 to 18 months. After that, the novelty wears off, the surprises fade, and dopamine just kind of checks out. For a relationship to last, a different system has to take over. The here and now system, driven by oxytocin, the chemical of comfort, attachment, and contentment.
And this is the critical lesson for so much of life. We have to learn how to switch gears. The skills that make you good at chasing something, that ambition, that desire for novelty, are the complete opposite of the skills you need to maintain a happy, stable connection. You have to know when to take your foot off the gas pedal and just gently apply the brakes.
Which brings us right back to Buzz Aldrin's struggle. Maybe the ultimate goal in life isn't just about achieving these incredible, far-off things. Maybe the real work is finding a way to balance that relentless forward drive with the simple ability to appreciate the ground we're standing on right now.
This molecule is our engine. It's what makes us human. But in our modern world, man, it can really feel like a cage. We're always hunting for the next hit, the next upgrade, the next piece of novelty. But in that endless chase, we become the prey, constantly running from the quiet dissatisfaction of the present moment. And that leaves every single one of us with the really profound question. In this race where you are both the hunter and the prey, how do you know when it's time to stop running?